Well, hi there. Good morning or good afternoon, depending on what part of the country you are calling in from. I want to welcome you to the Finance of America. Renovation Lending offers remodeling options to homeowners. And this webinar is going to be focusing on all those great renovation options that are available for everyone that is in their shelter in place. And so, really, that's the focus of what we're doing today in this webinar. My name is Ginger Bell. I'm going to be guiding you through the webinar today, and with me I have Mr. William Brown, who is the National Sales Manager for Renovation Lending for Finance of America. So welcome.
Thank you.
And as you're getting logged in, you can listen two different ways. You can either listen on your computer, which we are all getting very good at now, or you can call in through your telephone if you want to do that. And then you can also ask questions. This was a very popular webinar. And I tell you what, our webinars have been so popular. I did a webinar yesterday, William, and we had over 600 people registered for the webinar. And
Wow.
so, and I'm going to be doing the same content on the webinar coming up, which I'm going to talk to you about in a minute. But because we do have so many people on this webinar, we do have y'all muted so we don't hear barking dogs and kids at home and homework and all the things we're living with right now. But you can ask questions. So I want to make sure that you know how to ask questions so that we can see them, and how that is by two different ways. One is in the Q&A box and one is in the chat box. And so both of those will get those questions to me. So let's go ahead and test that and make sure that you all know how to ask those questions, where you can go to do that. And just if you can type in, let me know how you're doing, what part of the country you are now sheltered in place at, and how you're doing, how you're getting on in this brave new world that we are in, and hopefully doing well. Robert, yes, it is sunny in Oregon. I tell you what, we are so lucky because in addition to the shelter in place, which being at home, typically in Oregon, we have pouring rain this time of year.
Mm.
And so it is supposed to be, I think, like 70 degrees today, over 70 tomorrow, beautiful clear skies. It's like absolutely wonderful.
Very cool.
Jason, hello, Jason with Motto, Indiana. Very
Hey,
good.
Jason, I'm in Indiana too. Wonder where you are. I'll look
Yeah.
it up.
Yeah, well, you'll find out. Okay, so you
I'll find
guys know
out.
how to ask questions.
Alexandria.
He's in Alexandria.
I don't know where that is. I'm in Carmel.
Come on, come on, come on. Okay, so listen, we have a ton of webinars that we are doing because y'all are at home and we can help you to do that. And so the first one next Tuesday, I'm doing Taking Your Business Virtual, learning how to set up and conduct virtual meetings with your borrowers. And so just like we're doing the webinar today, I'm going to show you how to do meetings and how to keep them secure and all those important things. So register for that. And then Thursday, I'm doing a webinar, Thursday, April 16th. I'm doing a webinar that's called Standing Out in Your Market. And I'm going to talk about things that you can do to be able to stand in your market. Obviously changed now because we're all doing them from home, but there are a lot of things that you can do. And then Wednesday, I'm going to do a jump start to creating videos. And I know William and I were just talking about how important videos are right now. I have been doing videos for a long time, been creating videos, gosh, back since we started having to do continuing education with the SAFE Act. But now more than ever, it's important to do videos. And so some of the things I'm going to talk about next week is how to create videos. And you can do that with the things that you are learning today with my friend William Brown. And so I do have a slide deck. I've just posted it up there, so you can click on that link. I am recording this webinar. I will send out an email to you tomorrow. It'll have a copy of the recording as well as a copy of the slide deck, and then I'll also have as far as information to get registered for those other webinars. But you can always get registered at famtpo.com. So with that, what do you say we get started, Mr. Brown?
That sounds good. So people are
Okay.
here.
Yeah, and you know what? Part of the discussion today, too, it's like, okay, yes, we are in the middle of a whole lot of crazy.
Yeah.
And we are not sure what programs are around, when they're going to be around. We've got forbearance. We've got, I mean, it's like I'm looking for the locusts. I don't know about you guys, but we do have a lot of options with FHA. And so William and I were just talking about, obviously what webinars to do for this month. And we said, people are at home. And one of the things, honestly, that I'm seeing a lot of people posting on social media are projects that they're doing at home. Are you seeing that, William?
Yeah, there's a lot of projects going on. I actually have several going on here in the house, so I see lots of people at our local big box hardware stores
Yeah,
needing
because they're home and you have time to do that. And
uh,
you've never had that before. And so, with that, we said, you know what? It's a great opportunity for you all to call because it's good to check in, make that personal, and just check in with your database and find out, hey, have you thought about, first of all, rates are good. If they have the equity, it's good to do, right? But then, do you have some remodeling that you want to do? Things like that. And so, that really is what led to the beginning of this. And so we want to give an overview as far as renovation loans and be able to give you the information to talk about that. So William, I'll let you take over from here.
Okay, thank you. So we're going to talk about not so much details about the programs. We're going to give you a high-level overview of the programs, but really want to talk about renovation loans and solving problems. And when I think about being under house arrest or sequester in place or shelter in place, whatever they call it, first thing is space, right? People are suddenly doing more stuff in their space than what they've had to do before. And then the next thing that happens is efficiency, because now I got to work from home. So, it's really not that efficient to be sitting on my bed with the breakfast tray running my office, right? So I got to fill
Right.
out my office. And so people are thinking about those things. Other problems people are trying to solve is just like lifestyle needs, right? You have kids at home. I think we're going to see more blended families. That seems to be a trend according to the U.S. Census Bureau, that there's more multi-generation households. And so people are trying to find a place for mom and dad to age in place, or there's people with special needs. And so we're trying to fix all those things. Not a house arrest. Okay, not house arrest. I was under house arrest sometime in my younger years. So yeah, it feels like that when you get grounded, you have to stay in your room. But I could see that it's shelter place.
Right.
Right. So there's lifestyle needs. And then maybe because you are at home more, you're just realizing that, man, this is old and dated. Like, I like my house, but this color was the color that was in 1989. So maybe you need to paint some rooms, change out the floor carpet, put in some hardwood, maybe resurface your cabinets or put in new cabinets, just the kind of aesthetic improvements to make the place where you're spending a lot of time a lot more, attractive. And then finally, there's financial stability. So one thing renovation loans offer is a fixed rate mortgage. So it's not a HELOC. If they own their property, they're going to refi to a reno loan. If they're buying it, they can purchase it with the reno loan. They're fixed rate. So they have stability. They've got the money to do the project, but they're not worried about prime plus or minus anything. Okay, so those are the way I think about renovation loans. And then when you talk to your customers and your prospects, really you gotta determine their priorities. And remember, Ginger and I both think this is going to go on for a long time. And even if they, let us be more mobile and not sheltering in place, I think a lot of companies have shifted, and they're recognizing that they can actually do their work and be productive without having the overhead of as much office space. So I honestly think I know they're working from home now, but I think they're going to be working from home a lot more in the future.
Yeah,
Okay,
and I
so
agree. And I've had a conversation with some business owners that are making the move.
yeah,
And I think we will definitely see that. And
yep,
then they're just shifting to having maybe a central meeting place where they can
right.
go and meet once a week. So I think we're definitely going to see a lot of changes in how people do work and where they do work.
Right. So what I'm trying to focus on to help you guys, and this is going to be the next couple slides. It should be stuff that you guys already know, that you're already doing, but there's some basic questions that you want to ask your customers, right? You got to find out what their priorities are and have them rank them. And they could be all kind of things. It could be the rate, how much it costs, like living space, work from home, like any of the things, the 5 solutions that I put up in the front, like what is the consumer's priority, right? Just because they called you about a refi because they think rates are low doesn't necessarily mean that's their number one priority. It might just mean that that's why they called you, right? So, so you got to ask them, you got to talk to them. And you guys know this because you're successful loan originators, but we forget because we get busy and we just take the call and they want to know what the rate is. And so immediately, if you're not careful, you fall into that groove of, I'm going to tell you what the rate is and what I can do for you. but you're telling, you're not listening. I lost my thing, right? Here it is. Sorry, I clicked I forget I'm not driving. If they refi to a lower rate, you need to find out how that's going to change their life. What are they going to do with the money, right? And if they were buying a house, what would it mean to them and their family if they could get the renovations included in their monthly mortgage payment? You want to establish a meaningful connection with this person, and you get to do that with them by them talking to you, not so much you talking to them, but them talking to you and you listening and understanding who they are, what they're trying to do, right? If I get a lower rate, I get more cash. What am I going to do with the cash? Or I'm going to do a cash out so I can fix up my house. Okay, so I look at cash out as an equity drain as opposed to building equity, which a renovation loan does, because we're using the after improved value. So you want to have these full rounded conversations so they feel like they're actually getting meaningful advice from you. And they don't know. Okay, they don't know what their renovation loan options are because they've never heard. Like the realtors, when they bought their house, the realtor probably wasn't promoting it. They're doing a cash out refi. What do they need the cash for? I find out from a lot of our salespeople that a lot of times they're going to fix up the house. And so then the question is, well, if you do a cash out, you actually take the equity out of your house and theoretically you put it back in because you've fixed up the house. But if you do a renovation loan, you don't actually take the cash out of your house. We increase your equity because we use the as completed value. And a lot of times they don't have enough equity to even accomplish what they want to do because they're using, a percentage of the as is value today. That's how the appraisals are different. So on a renovation loan, we're going to use the whole scope of work, and the appraiser is going to tell me if they do $80,000 of work on their house and add this addition, what's it going to be worth when it's done? It's different comps than if he does it today for a cash out. Okay, so that's why they work, and almost all the time they work. You might have to tweak the project a little bit to get the value right, but those are doable options, and people wind up tweaking their projects all the time to get the value right, whether they pay for it out of pocket or whether they do it through a finance vehicle.
Yeah. And so, it's so funny because I'm looking at this picture and so many people are living this right now. I've been on so many calls where
Sure.
it's like, hold on just a minute, or, all those things. So if you look at this picture and then you look at the next picture, that's really a lot of the visual that I think you can get into when you're talking about people. So, anytime we go through a major change, and we went through a major change back in 2008 with the housing
The
market.
collapse, right?
And so we're going through a major change now. And so, just in thinking about marketing and thinking about things like that, that's how we want to start shifting. Because honestly, William, one of the biggest questions I'm getting from people is like, okay, rate, yes, that's one thing to talk about, but, we're going to shift. What should we shift in talking to real estate agents, to borrowers, to consumers? And this is one of those things you can shift from and
Right.
build into your marketing, which I absolutely love that idea, because if you think about taking this picture here, and with the renovation loan, what you can do is create a space. You can create a
Yeah.
workspace. And this is such a beautiful workspace for two people to be able to work cohesively on. And those are the kind of things to think about as far as improving their space, right?
Yeah, and those are things that are going to add value. Like we said, people are shifting to more and more work from home. So even if I'm thinking about moving and selling my house, if I have a dedicated workspace that's attractive and well appointed and laid out in my house actually has more value than if I just have an unfinished basement or I'm using a bedroom for my office, right? Because bedrooms are really bedrooms. So, you have to help your customers think through these questions, these concerns by asking them questions. How long are you going to stay in your house, right? When are you going to move? Or if you're not decided if you're going to move? But just engaging them and listening to them will build the bridge that you need to become their preferred lender.
Right. So this I love, the idea of making an accessory dwelling. So let's talk about this.
So this is actually huge. Okay, it solves a lot of housing issues in certain states, especially in the western states, where there's any landlocked metropolitan area. And basically, what you're doing is using a renovation loan to add square footage living space. So on the left, you have this. Actually, looks like it's in my neighborhood. I have to go over and look at it. There's a house about 2 blocks away, and they have a garage, and they put this thing on top of it that looks a lot like that. And it's a 1.5 bath suite up on top of their garage. Okay, And then the other one on the right is a freestanding. They converted their garage into a dwelling unit. And you can use a home style renovation loan to do that. And you actually get square footage, you get living space. It may solve some of your livability issues because now your aging parents can, or you could move into the house yourself as the homeowner into the little house and rent your big house, or you can bring your aging parents and they have the independence that they still want, but they're close so you can help them. And it just changes the whole family dynamic and maybe your economic dynamic. Maybe it's not parents. Maybe you just need rental income. Okay, so you could rent that. Either one of those spaces you could rent. And they're easy to maintain, they're easy to take care of. Um, so I think that that's a huge thing, which brings us to our first choice. And I say first choice. I thought about this back and forth if I was going to put first choice on there, and I decided I was going to let it ride because I really like Fannie Mae HomeStyle renovation loans. Okay, I
Right.
like I like the more common option, the 203K. We'll talk about that, but a lot of people don't know about HomeStyle. A lot of your referral partners, realtors, don't know about HomeStyle, and it's a conventional, conforming, high balance, eligible renovation loan. Okay, and it funds 95% for everybody except first-time home buyers who can go to 97. You can also use it for single family resident investment. Maybe not the best vehicle for that because pricing is terrible for non-owner properties at the moment because pricing is barely tolerable for owner occupied properties. So don't be put off when you see the pricing.
Right.
But you could, I mean, if your choice is hard money or not doing it, then maybe you would do 15% down and however many points it took to satisfy Fannie Mae, on their risk metrics. But you can use it for second homes. It's a really streamlined process, which I like. There's fewer people, so you can do any size project that's supported by the appraisal, and really you're going to get a bid from your chosen general contractor or your architect, and that's what we're going to base your loan on. So it's easier, right? There's no HUD consultant. There's just you, homeowner. Go find a general contractor, get your plans and specs. We're going to vet both the plans and specs and the general contractor, but it's streamlined. Okay, trust me, it is more streamlined than a standard 203K. And unfortunately, because of some product issues, you guys, if you're selling it is a manual rate sheet. So you got to get our rate sheet that comes out every day, and it gets on like page 11. All right, and it's a manual price, and you have to request the lock. But that's because we haven't had the bandwidth to build it into our pricing engine because it has so many LTV factors. It's more complicated, but it solves a lot of problems for a lot of consumers and a lot of areas. If they got a long lot, one of those 35 by 70 lots where the house is in the front of the 70, they could drop an EDU in the back,
Yeah,
right?
which is huge. I mean, just to be able to do that is definitely huge. And then also looking at some of the energy improvements that you can do on this as well.
Right. So this is like a Swiss Army knife of mortgages.
I like that.
You can put this home style together. If you're in a home ready, an area median income limited area, you could join a home style to that, which then has some nice tweaks as far as reduced MI coverage, and they waive the LLPAs or they cap them, right? And there's no first-time home buyer requirement. Or you could put it with an energy mortgage, which Fannie gives perks for improving the energy efficiency of the house. Your MI is still going to be standard coverage, standard LLPAs, no first-time home buyer requirement, right? So, like, you can put those things together to really help your borrower get on top of solving their housing need. And if you're not talking to your borrowers about the cost of energy, heating and cooling their home, you're not really helping them. Okay, I know for several years HUD has had it on their docket to figure out how to add the average energy cost to qualifying for an FHA loan because it
Well,
can be huge for the borrower's ability to repay,
right.
right? And so you guys, even though it's not legislated, you would do your borrowers a great service to help them think through how much is it going to cost to maintain and heat or cool your house.
Yep. So
All right.
important.
Yeah.
So now let's move on to what you call the most common options. And that's what people think about, obviously, in renovation loans is the standard FHA 203K.
Right. And it is. It's secure. It's affordable. I mean, I like it. I do honestly like the 203K. It works really well for a lot of people. The downside to the 203K standard is you have a HUD consultant, but the upside is you have a HUD consultant. So most of the time they balance out. And from a consumer's perspective, having an expert in construction and dealing with contractors as your intermediary is valuable. Okay. And so that's really the value of the HUD consultant, besides helping them make sure that your contractor's prices are in the market and that everything is complete, and that he's there to hear the borrower. If the borrower's not really happy with the renovation, then the HUD consultant can advocate for them, either correct them, show them, or work with the contractor. But it will go to 96.5 on a purchase, 97.75 on a refi. So if they don't have enough equity and they're trying to get money out, then a renovation loan based on the after improved value of payoff plus renovations gets them more bang for their buck. Okay, and then standard has a minimum 5K in repairs, has to be to the structure, which HUD calls the house. It's really difficult to do ADUs with 203Ks because they typically have a kitchen in them. And HUD still has a problem with single family residence properties that have 2 kitchens. That's why I recommend HomeStyle for that. Okay, if they're doing an ADU or maybe finishing out above a garage and they're not putting a kitchen in, they can probably get away with it as a 203K, a half bath or something. But if they're going to have a kitchen, then we are going to have difficulty insuring that loan. So we don't usually do it. But we'll go to the county limit. It's a high balance eligible. We select the HUD consultant. We manage the whole process. You can use it for additions. We do a couple teardowns and rebuilds every year. They're phenomenal. They're like amazing looking houses in landlocked urban areas where they just tear down the little shack that was built after the war and boom, put a new house on the lot.
Which is a great way to be able to definitely take advantage of maybe getting a house that, is a good price and then really building up the value on that. So before we leave this, I just have a question I want to hit on that because you were just talking about high balance and county limits. So does FAM offer high balance in Dallas, Texas?
If it's available, we offer it. So we don't have any restrictions. So we follow Fannie and we follow HUD. So if it's a high balance eligible area, then we will lend to that limit. We don't have any overlays on the lending limits.
Very good. So now let's talk about the limited FHA 203K.
Yeah, this is the one. This is kind of the everyday go-to quick renovation loan. It's eligible for purchase and refi. It's pretty easy because we allow up to 3 discrete contractors. So if you want to redo your kitchen cabinets, put in a floor, and upgrade your HVAC, then you can get that done, by finding the 3 guys to do that. And there's, pictures of some of the stuff that people do with it. It does have a unique feature in qualified opportunity zones, which is part of the federal program. So you can do some research on that. And I think we have a webinar on it that may be posted on FAM TPO.
We do. And FAM, I think on FAMU, we have one that we've done.
Yeah, and so that expands your ability, the borrower's ability to borrow money from $29,000 in total hard soft cost to $42,000, right? So that's kind of huge if you're in a qualified opportunity zone. It doesn't require a HUD consultant. Like we said, we can have 3 tradespeople, but there's no change to pricing. Some lenders charge one price for 203K limited and one for standard. Ours are the same, basically the same product. We made that decision years ago. We haven't come back around to changing it. We might change it if we decide we want more of one or the other. You might see a fire sale on limiteds. The rate's really cheap, go sell it. But in general, like, it's the same product. So we haven't really felt to do that. They're good loans, right? They're all good loans. And then this just shows you the choices if you're going to help them do their energy efficiency. And again, I just want to stress, this is a lot of people buying houses, they're not thinking about that. They want to know if their HVAC unit works or if the roof is good, okay? But if their inspection doesn't call out energy efficiency, they may miss it. So if you guys could help them say, what's it going to cost to heat your house in Central Oregon or in Central Indiana or in Minnesota, right? And how is the house set up for insulation? So maybe they were just going to do a regular FHA or a Fannie Mae loan, but now when they're thinking about that, maybe they would rather blow in some insulation, foam seal the attic space, maybe change the windows to double pane windows, something like that. And these are the options that we can use with either the FHA or the Fannie Mae, right? And so I just think that that's really huge, and I think you will endear yourself to your customers and your prospects if you help them think through the total cost of owning the home that they're going to buy or that they're living in.
And staying in probably for a while.
Yeah, and staying in, right? That's the idea.
So one of those, yes.
So remember, just to remind you that they all require training and certification. So while you're home right now and maybe you're not so busy with new business, jump on the website, and do the training, and we provide lots of support. The training is to let you understand some of the borrower's concerns, our perspective on selling a loan. Just me talking, and so you'll get to hear me again. But I've been in this space since 2008. I just looked it up today because I'm working on some licensing. So 2008. Before that, I actually worked as a finished carpenter. I built houses. I lived in Canada for a while. We milled dimensional lumber and built our own houses. I get the contractor part. I get the homeowner part because I remodel houses here. And I get the mortgage part. And so what I'd like to do, take away from my training, and even if you've done them before, what people regularly tell me is they learn at least one thing, okay? Because I've been doing this for a long time. We've seen maybe 5,000 renovation loans go through the 2 different operation centers I've run. And we try and front load the training to give you tips and insights and remove the landmines so you can have a successful experience with your borrower and the product and your referral partners. Okay, so that's really the point. And if you take the training and you think it's just totally boring and a waste of your time, please let me know, and I'll add some animations to it.
Sock puppets.
Yeah,
Entertainment. Very
yeah.
good. But we do have, so in addition to the certification training there, we also have a host of recorded webinars and other videos on how to complete the maximum mortgage worksheet, how to explain it, and going through the whole process. So FAMU is a great resource to be able to utilize. And again, as William said, while we are sheltering in place and have this opportunity to really take care of each other and make sure that we are doing that, it is a chance for us to grow and to learn. And so, looking at some of those things, we will come out of this. And, a year from now, hopefully we can look back on this and say, how did you grow? What did you do with that time? And I'm sure a lot of you are busy right now, so you don't have a ton of time. But really map out some time, put it on your calendar to say, hey, you know what, I've always wanted to learn about this, or I always wanted to do that. I had shared with William, I'm starting a 6-week video coaching program, which I don't do coaching. I typically work with clients like Finance of America. And so I've just had a lot of people say, hey, can you teach me how to do video? And so it's like people want to learn, people want to grow. So look at those, go to FAMU, find out more about the renovation loan. Think about the things that you can do to add it to your business. Think about, it's a good reason to call someone too. And so, and I love this, really creating that framework of the conversation. And William, I'll let you go through that, because this is that opportunity for you to pick up that phone and to call someone and to kind of go through that conversation and just saying, hey, we're sheltering in place. Wanted to call and see how you're doing. And then just also wanted to let you know, there are some options as far as, have you thought about doing some remodeling? You're probably spending a lot of time at home. So what are some of the things that they need to make sure that they're covering and listening for?
Yeah, so I put this together because it really is just to give you a framework. When I say framework, it means it's not a script, because I've had sales training where they gave me scripts to use and I'm always off script. And so
Right.
then I finally figured out that I have to ask the borrower what's really important. So like if I printed this little checklist and put it on my wall in front of my eyes while I'm talking to them, I can manage the conversation around getting that into the conversation, but it may not be where the borrower is coming from, what they want to talk about, right? And so I just had a hard time doing scripts, but I was able to create frameworks. So I got the core information that I thought was important from the consumer, from my borrower. Right? And really, Stephen Covey said it best: seek first to understand, which means you got to listen. If you're talking to a consumer and you're talking 80% of the time, selling them something, I just think you'd be better off to listen 80% of the time and let them buy something from you. Let them buy into what you're offering them, because they know what their needs are. You can help them surface that. Is it cash flow? Are you looking for a lower rate? Or is it really not the cash because you're spending $190 a month on utilities, and so if you refi, you get more cash back? Well, how about if you fix the energy problem, right? So you're not spending 190 on heating your house, or you're sheltering in place. So how's your house working for you? Are there any improvements that you think that would make it work better for you? And remind them that a lot. Ginger and I aren't alone here. There's a lot of people anticipating that a lot of people are going to be working from home a lot more in the future.
Right.
And so if your customer is thinking that, they're just home for a while, you might want to tell them, you know what? Your boss has probably figured out that he's saving a lot of money on space and utilities by not having you in the building, and you're still working. So that concern that a lot of management have is that people won't work. A lot of managers finding, oh, they do work. I don't have to walk around and supervise them. They're adults. I hired them because they're smart. They want to do their job and they're getting it done. Okay, so how are you going to fix your house? And the rate is great on renovation loans, and it does increase the equity as opposed to pulling the cash out to put it back in the house
Right.
and
The
helping.
lifestyle changes
And,
too, I think, is important because, a lot of people, it's like we brought my mother-in-law to live with us during this, and
uh,
it's been an interesting change. We fortunately have the room for it, but, a lot of people may say, hey, you know what? It kind of makes sense to, keep grandma here, or, if the kids are, been laid off or they're not working. So I think there's going to be a lot of family changes and lifestyle changes.
right. So this is like, if you haven't called your database, you need to start calling them. I know everybody's busy and the rates are low, and so it's like low hanging fruit. But if you want to grow your business for the future, reach out to the people that have done business with you in the past and talk about tomorrow, right? So
Absolutely.
that's
And that's what it is. It's like and this is where you as a trusted advisor comes in, and that's what they look for. And so it may not be today, but it could be tomorrow. It could be the next month. And so think about the things you're doing to build your business beyond just the rate environment right now, obviously. We have a lot of resources that are available, and they can be found on Platinum as well as in FAMU. And if you have questions about either one of those, you can contact your Finance of America account executive. And then the training, William talked about the certification training that's available on both the Fannie Mae HomeStyle as well as the 203K, available 24/7. So if you're up at 3 o'clock in the morning,
mm,
kind of like I was or have been several mornings. I don't know why.
yeah,
Am I the
for
only one
sure.
that's doing that? It's like waking up at 3 o'clock in the morning and going,
You are
what
not
day is it?
alone. You are not alone. Why am
Yeah,
I awake? I'm awake. I guess I might as well get up and do some continuing ed for an hour or two until I get sleep.
exactly. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. So it's an opportunity for you to do that. Do
And
we
I,
have any questions right now? I'm not seeing any questions that are coming in. If you guys do have questions, let us know.
yeah,
Um, I see it. Can we get a copy of the presentation? So I'm going to post it up here again. So you just click on that link, copy and paste it, and put it into your URL, and then you can open that. I'm also going to send over a copy of the recording as well as a slide deck, and that'll come in an email tomorrow. So you'll get a copy of that. So question, Jason is asking, the trainings on FAMU is required to submit.
yeah, because what will happen if you don't do the training is your file will get hung up in file intake. So I put my email in there, and you can feel free to reach out to me if you want to talk about that or anything. But we just decided it was simpler to manage. It's 45 minutes for each program. Most people learn some stuff. We do require you to do the worksheet, which is different, I think, than some other, investors don't require the salespeople to do it. But I don't think you can really originate this loan without being able to explain the money to the borrower. And you can't explain the money without doing the worksheet. And you also can't get to the right loan amount and know what we need to disclose. So yeah, the training is required. But like I said, it's 45 minutes. And I haven't heard that it was onerous from anybody. I heard that a lot of people that even done lots of renovation loans learned some things. So that is the answer to the training. I did put my email in there. It's wbrown@financeofamerica.com. You can reach out to your account exec. They will include me in the conversation. You can reach out to me. I will include them in the conversation, and we'll make sure that we can help you get your business done.
And it's a video, guys, so it's William talking. So it's not like you're going through your continuing education where you're reading stuff on the screen and hitting next. I mean, it truly is just listening to William sharing his expertise. And so the 45 minutes is very informative and is kind of like watching a TV show on Netflix. Maybe we should put it on Netflix, William.
Not a bad idea. We should look into that. I'm gonna take your video class and see about making this
There
Netflix. Renovation lending on Netflix.
Renovation lending on Netflix. Okay, good. Okay, and we have webinars coming up. So make sure and get registered. You can get registered at famtpo.com. Tuesday next week. So these are 2 next week, 1 the following week. Seriously, if you guys are not doing virtual meetings, then to hop on this, because I'm going to walk you through, honestly, step by step. I went through the labor part of creating a slide deck that goes through each step of how to do virtual meetings, how to invite your borrowers to meetings, all of those kind of things. So get registered for that one. Standing out in your market, we need to start looking at that. We're in the middle of this right now, but we need to be able to come out of this. So what are the things you need to do that? And then the jump start to creating videos. So this is just a 45-minute. It's kind of a jump start and things you need to do. I'm going to talk about equipment, recording, things like that. Okay, so Jason has a question. So they are live only. I need one to submit ASAP. So they're online. So the videos that William's talking about are online. So you can get logged in right away, talk to your FAM account executive, or email William and he can tell you how to do that. Okay, so we have a question from Robert. I recently ran into confusion on needing the bids to be broke down with material and labor. I was just told on 203K standard that we do not need the bid broke down, only the limited. I was told by the HUD consultant that it was required. Past webinars I have, it is required. Is it? Or is it not? FHA only or both?
Yeah, it's required by both agencies, HUD and Fannie Mae. It's a requirement that the bid be shown in material and labor. And we don't really care what the guy charges. If you're talking to a contractor or the borrower's talking to the contractor, we don't care what his profit margin is. We don't care what his labor is. Both agencies have told me by voice that they view it as a better, as an opportunity to give the consumer a better understanding of what they're buying if the bid is in material and labor.
Interesting.
So that's why they do it. And they don't seem to be backing away from it. So yeah, and we tell that to the customer. So at FAM, we actually manage that process. When you submit it to us, we underwrite it, and then we assign a project manager, and we did a webinar on that too, who actually talks to the borrower and helps them line out getting it and finding a contract and what the requirements are. And in the material we give to the consumer, it does say the bid has to be in material and labor. And we are working on a template that we could share with contractors, but it's like herding cats. Like we've tried in the past. People keep asking, do you have a sample so I can show them? So Tasha and I, my ops manager, trying to come up with a sample, but it is, it's like herding cats. We're going to give it to them anyway.
With toothpicks.
Yeah, some guys are going to do it, some guys are not. So we're working on solving that problem. And then opportunity to team up to provide webinars with the marketing class. Yeah, I do webinars I do live presentations for realtors. I'll do webinars with you for realtors. You can call me up one-on-one if you want to call on a broker. And, I guess you can't go into his office, maybe, depending on where you're living. But we can definitely get them online and we can hook up and do some programs. I'd be happy to do that for you.
Yeah, there's lots of opportunities, Robert, with that. And you're seeing exactly where this opportunity lies. And so definitely one of those. And if you have questions on how to do that or how to do videos, you can, I'll put my email up here too. Shoot me an email and we can look at that as well. And there's even some opportunities for some continuing education credit, because I've done that under the 203K years ago, where you can give realtors continuing education credit. And for some states like California, you can actually do that remote. So, those are kind of things. And that's what you need to be thinking about right now. I mean, you need to be looking at what are the ways that you can stand out? What are the ways that you continue to provide value, and especially for our, realtors. Okay, and so Mike is asking, does FAM pricing engine include renovation scenarios?
So the optimal blue for 203K does, but HomeStyle is the manual rate lock, so you're going to have to build out your scenario yourself by referring to the rate sheet and applying the LLPAs that Fannie Mae requires and picking your rate. But so it's not, that one is totally manual.
Yep, absolutely. And so Ingrid asks, at what price point for rental loans are permits required?
So we follow the local jurisdiction. Okay, so we're going to find out from the contractor or the HUD consultant or the builder what permits are required. We'll verify that, and then it's up to, we include those permits in the renovation loan. So we actually disclose 1% of the estimated project cost, and usually on a renovation loan, the first worksheet you do is an estimate, and we include 1% of the material cost as an estimate for permits as a placeholder. So we don't know how much permits cost, if they're required. We figure that out after the file's underwritten and when we're in processing.
Very good. Okay, so that is all the questions I have. I see, Ingrid, you're raising your hand, but maybe you're just raising your hand to say thank you or to wave at us. If you're waving at us, we'll wave back. And Robert, thank you so much. I know you say thank you, William and Ginger. Stay safe and sane. And yes, that is absolutely where we want you all to be as well. And so get registered for an upcoming webinar. Let us know how we can help you. And let us know what you're doing. You know, the whole idea of putting this together is we want you guys to be able to continue to bring in business. And this is a way for you to do that. We're here to support you with that in any way that we can. So we appreciate all that you do. And William, thank you so much. I
Ginger.
absolutely love being able to do these webinars with you. And we wish you all a great day. Stay safe, stay healthy, and wash your hands.
Okay, thanks everybody. Bye-bye.